Hey, what's going on, everyone? I just wanted to make a quick video, short, sweet, and to the point, get into the meat potatoes of how to buy your first Bitcoin, where to buy it from, why to buy it from there, how to secure it, where to store it, and just overall how to start off with the right habits from day one. Because there's plenty of horror stories of people that bought Bitcoin back when it was worth 15 cents a coin, and then it spiked up to 1,200 bucks, and they realized they threw that computer away that had that Bitcoin, and they would have been an instant multimillionaire. There's one story that a guy did do that. He threw a computer away that had his Bitcoin, didn't realize until it was on the news about how much it was worth, went to the dump, and when he got there, realized that they buried the trash. So he was completely fucked. So that's what I mean by don't take it lightly. I mean, he probably did too. 15 cents, oh, okay, maybe it doubles from 15% and you just did, or 15 cents, and you just spent 100 bucks. Well, they just released a study that said if you had bought Bitcoin 7 years ago and invested only $100, you would be worth $72.9 million today. I'll put a link in the description to that article. I might not, I think it was 72 million. But yeah, I'm making this video for a buddy of mine at work. I don't think he thinks I was going to release it tonight, but here I am. Told you I'd get it out there. It's just so easy for me to get off on these tangents with all this information in my head, but I have an idea of a structure of how I'm going to make this basic and just break through that learning curve. So I like to start off with looking at a chart, and it took me a while to learn how all this works and break down the different patterns and learn the different patterns in general. But it's always good to have a visual of what the market's doing. I mean, you don't want to buy at top. So if you can just, I mean, you can look at this and be like, okay, you don't want to buy here, or when it's just going on one of these parabolic trends, you don't want to catch the last part. That's where the suckers buy. And if you see it like this, we can zoom out a little bit. This is a more of a basic website, but I think it's great to start this way. Um, it's always good to catch a bounce, but that's a little bit more advanced. But it's overall gives you a visual idea of what's going on in the market. You can see the sell orders stacked up here. Here's the price. Here's how many bitcoins, and here's the buy orders. And then here's the orders that were sold and for what price and how many bitcoins. And down here we have the volume of Bitcoin that was sold in this time frame. And then even I like to look at the forest through the trees, so you can see I'm looking at a 1 hour chart. So each of these candles is the movement fluctuation of the market within an hour's time span. You can also break it down and look at a 1 day chart. So we click on here. Looks a little bit different, right? So that's why I think it's good to look at it from different angles. Have that microscopic view and then get a bird's eye view. But I think it's best to start off with the exchange. So when you want to buy your first Bitcoin, you go to an exchange. These used to not exist, so it was, a lot of people say, oh yeah, well, you could have bought it when it was 15 cents a coin. Well, back then it wasn't easy to find Bitcoin or even know how to use it. So, you were kind of lucky to get in on it back then. It wasn't like it is now. So an exchange is just a place where people can come that have Bitcoin on their Bitcoin wallet, or people that want to buy Bitcoin that have a registered account can make that transaction happen, make that trade possibility. So to do Bitstamp, I recommend them, and I use them primarily because they're European based, which means the regulations that they have to adhere to are a little more intense than anywhere else. They're insured and they've been around for a while, so I know they're not this flyby uh, operation, and so like some of the different exchanges you have in China that I would never use. I mean, there's one that was hacked for $60 million worth of Bitcoin, I think it was, Bitfinex. Um, and people still continue to use them. They're still around, and I believe it was an inside job. But if there's any funky business with any of these exchanges, I don't touch them. So Bitstamp, I recommend. I use them. You can link your bank account. They take about 2 to 3 days once you submit the required documentation and identification, and then you're up and ready to go. If you link your bank account or Debit card, yeah, they let you use your debit card too. Um, you transfer the funds onto the exchange and it will come up here. I'll show you how many dollars you have, and then you can come up here and buy, sell once you've transferred the money, and you can buy Bitcoin. And you have few different options of how you can make that happen. So an instant order, you'll pay a little bit of a premium. The 0.25% Bitstamp fee is always going to be there, but you would just say, okay, I want to buy, what's the going market rate? 248894. So that's close to 1 Bitcoin, or a little more since the market just changed. Yeah, and you will get your Bitcoin instantaneously. Uh, Limit order is saying, okay, I want to buy 1 Bitcoin. Here's the going market rate, but I want to buy it for $10 cheaper. Let's redo that. So you want to buy it for $10 cheaper. Well, okay, you can see it's not working for me, but let's refresh it because I want to do this right. So 1 Bitcoin, then it'll show you you can change this to $10 cheaper. And if somebody's out there that's willing to sell their Bitcoin for $10 under the market price, you could receive that Bitcoin. It's just, it wouldn't be instantaneous, but it could be fast depending on how far away from the spread you are. Market order is just based on the current market value of Bitcoin. So you put 1 Bitcoin and you can see that should correlate. Oh, it's going to be a little more expensive because you have to pay the fee on top of the market rate. So that's about $6 or $7 difference because of the fee. And then stop order, that kind of is like filled to a certain point. But if price rises to a certain, like if price goes over $10 before you get to that amount, then stop the order, stop buying Bitcoin. And it's good if I would just recommend to get your first Bitcoin, do a market order or an instant order because you're talking about a few bucks. You don't have to worry about was your order filled. One problem that happens with that is, say you're trying to save $10 and you put this limit order in. Well, what can happen is you put it in, no one fills it, you go to bed thinking, oh, somebody eventually will, and the price goes up $100. Well, it's kind of like you just lost $90 because you were trying to get a $10 savings. You know, I've seen that happen. It's happened to me before. That's why I just try to get my Bitcoin on or buy it and get it off the exchanges. So here's another one. It's US based, Coinbase, same situation. You got to give them your information primarily for taxation purposes, but pay your taxes, you won't have problems. It's capital gains tax, it's tax like property. Um, Coinbase, I've never used them. I've heard good things about them, but I think they don't release the Bitcoin to you until 2 days after the transaction's been made. So a lot can happen in that 2 days, especially now. But they're a US based option. Local Bitcoins is going to get you your Bitcoins faster because you don't have to go through these verification processes like you do on Bitstamp and Coinbase. Local Bitcoins is more of a person-to-person interface where, say, okay, so for instance, we have San Diego BC traders. They've traded over 100 plus transactions with 100% verification. Cash deposit. So how this happens is local Bitcoins is the third party, and they're requesting that you go to a Wells Fargo branch, deposit $3,000 to receive Bitcoin at this price. So you pay a bit of a premium for not having to submit all this documentation like you do on the other ones, and local Bitcoins holds it in like an escrow account. So this person first has to send their Bitcoins to local Bitcoins. Then local Bitcoins let you know, okay, we have the Bitcoins. They're in an escrow account. Now you need to go and deposit the Wells Fargo or deposit it into their Wells Fargo account. Once you, phone call. Once you verify whether it's a receipt or the seller will verify that the funds have hit their account. Then local Bitcoins will release those Bitcoins to you. And usually they'll set, like you can click on here, and they'll set their, um, well, usually sometimes you'll have to log in and all that stuff. Here's their reviews, but they'll set their time frames. So they'll say, okay, this needs to happen within 1 day, things like that. But that's a way where you don't have to give your information out and you can get Bitcoin fairly fast. You can also, let's go back, um, buy Bitcoin with, there's all different types of options on here. You can buy it with a cashier's check. I would never do cash by mail. um, Western Union, Amazon gift cards, all different type of gift cards. You'll pay a high premium when you try to buy Bitcoin with a gift card, but on the inverse side of that, you can buy gift cards with Bitcoins at half the going rate. So say you have $250 worth of Bitcoin, you can send that Bitcoin to someone for an eBay gift card or a Whole Foods gift card that's worth $500. And once that transaction's gone through, you get the e-card. And I've done this a few times with Whole Foods where I get a $500 gift card and I only paid 250 bucks for it. So yeah, that's a quick way to get it, and you don't have to do all the verification. Poloniex is a great place if you start to get to be a more advanced trader and you want to get into the altcoin markets, which altcoins are more, they're based on some of the big name cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDT, which is called Tether, is just a cryptocurrency that follows the market rate of the dollar bill. And then you can use like Bitcoin to buy these different altcoins. The cool thing about altcoins is I think they're purely speculative, but um, even that being said, you can flip a huge profit on these sometimes. I mean, look at most of these are up almost 40%, 63%, 35%. That's why diversification is really a great strategy if you're going to invest in altcoins, or I wouldn't say invest, but flip, because none of these I think really have substantial technology behind them that is going to be like Bitcoin. They can use the same source code, but yeah, I think they're just you got to know how to trade the market. But one thing that works for me is diversification and holding on to the coin until it hits your target point. Like, so say you buy, XRP and you buy it at negative 12, and this is based off of yesterday's market value. But hold on to it until it gets to 40% past what you bought it for, and just hold on to it until it gets there. And I've seen so many of these coins just flip day by day that way. So it's a quick way to turn a good profit, just as long as you're patient. One thing that I've learned from one thing I've learned the hard way is you do not want to try to chase any of these. Pick one, pick a few. I mean, I want to do any more than like five if you're diversifying, and learn a bit about their technology, and then hold on to them. And with that, the way the market's been going, it's almost like it can't fail. Now, the market is not always this way. It's just right now, Bitcoin is getting a lot of attention, and it's really good for all these markets because before this recent uh, spike up, none of these markets were doing anything. And I believe this bubble for these altcoin markets will pop, but that's the thing, it's a cycle. So the best thing to do is wait for the bubble to pop and then start buying some of this stuff at dirt cheap prices and then hold on to it. It may take a year, 2, 3 years for the market to have the cycle again to where it's at right now. But the last thing you want to do is buy when everything's topped out. And a lot of this stuff is already up 3, 4, 800%. So, and it's still going up. So I've never seen the markets do this, but I've seen these cycles come and go. So that's with altcoins, Poloniex. What you would do so once you buy your Bitcoin, which I showed you how to do, um, you would now have a Bitcoin wallet, which is just the same thing as the bank account. And so let's pick a Bitcoin wallet that I have a few bucks in. So Purse.io is a place where you can send your Bitcoin and buy Amazon products with your Bitcoin. And how that works is, and you can buy it for almost up to 50% off the value. Let's see, the value that it's listed at on Amazon. So, like for instance, it's kind of a process. You have to create an Amazon wish list and go through a few things, but you name your price of the product that you want to buy on Amazon, and you buy it with Bitcoin. But you say, okay, I'm going to give you 20% cheaper in value of Bitcoin that's worth in dollars. And people that want Bitcoin will buy the product, send it to you, and Purse is kind of the middleman. They're the escrow. They make sure that the funds were there, that the product made it to you, and then the funds are released. So, and here it has its wallet. So we go to, and this works just like any other wallet. So I went to wallet. I want to withdraw the funds amount that I would like to withdraw. So let's just do 0.01, and then the banking and routing number are all in one for a Bitcoin address. So say I want to send it to Poloniex. I just need to go to deposits and withdrawals because I want to deposit the Bitcoin to this exchange. And then I'll want it to go into my Bitcoin wallet. So Bitcoin deposit, and this is the number that I need. So this is the Bitcoin address for this wallet on Poloniex. Now I go back here, paste that in, and anyone can see your Bitcoin wallet address. It's not like your bank account number and routing address. It doesn't mean that they can get your funds. The only way they can get your funds is if they have your private keys, which is your password. I put in two-factor authentication, which is a password that changes every 1 minute. It's an app on the phone. I would highly recommend downloading it. I know I keep saying highly recommend. Uh, it's a great thing to have because it's another layer of security. Sometimes it's annoying because you have to have your phone next to you, but it's great. And so to download it, you would type in Google Authenticator. I don't know if I'm saying that right, and link this account with your phone, and then the password changes every 1 minute, and it would be listed. So I'm pulling up my phone right now, and then I'm finding which password I need for this account. So let's see. And it will usually list it as, here it is. It will usually list it as the website name next to it, so you know. And since it changes every 1 minute, I'm not worried about showing that online. So now it shows withdrawal successful. It shows which account it was sent to. And that's how you send money from one place to another. Um, when I have more time, I'll make another video to show you guys how to, and the processing time to send Bitcoin can be, I've seen it done in 10, sometimes 5, well, no, I think 10 minutes. And the longest I've ever had was 45 minutes. And that's one of the revolutionary aspects of Bitcoin is that you don't need the middleman anymore. You don't need the bank. Some people are like, well, once I have Bitcoin, what can I do? How do I spend it? Well, if you want to buy things on Amazon, you can use it. Or if you want cash, there's Bitcoin ATMs all over the world that you can go to and send your Bitcoin to there, and I think up to $2,000 can be released. So there's options to get cash wherever you are with Bitcoin. And one thing I like about that is when I'm traveling in Europe, all I have to do is I don't have to pay all these crazy fees because I'm out of the country, and then I have these spending limits. Um, I'm good to go, and it's way more secure than I would say any bank account. So yeah, that's about the process. Trying to think of what else. I bought a lot of things from Purse.io through Amazon. I buy my baby diapers through here at 25% off almost all the time, and that's a reoccurring cost. So I'm saving 25% on something I buy every every month, every week. What else do I save money on? Oh, gift cards. So if I want to go to Whole Foods, my grocery bill for every month is just cut in half because I buy gift cards using Bitcoins. What else? And then sometimes if I buy Bitcoin and then it goes up a few $100s, that's even more savings. So that's a great way, even if you don't have a lot of money and you're like a college kid or you're just looking to save some money on your daily expenses, uh, to kind of hack that. And I don't know if that option is always going to be there because I think once it hits that consumer adoption phase where people are using it like a grandma uses email now. They don't have to be a coder or anything like that. They just have to hit compose where they're sending it to and put in the content and then send. Once Bitcoin gets to that level where everyone's using it, that's when I think it's going to be worth a lot of money. But I don't think these options are going to save you so much then. But right now, I think it's going to be around for a while, and I use it when I can. Let me see what else. Oh, okay. So if you're going to be if you're going to be buying more Bitcoin than normal, or you want another level of protection, this is essential. It's a Bitcoin wallet. So instead of using your phone or online, this is specifically designed and encrypted to hold your Bitcoin. And this is what the top investors use. And I know it's $99, but I mean, if you have a few $1,000s invested, it's it's like a must-have. And it's it's been around. It's the top selling wallet, and it's a great thing to just have in your pocket. And it's backed up. So, say you go and jump in the water or fall in a pool or it gets wet and damaged. This is all backed up and encrypted in a way where it's not gone. You know, say you have a few 100,000 on this thing, and it gets wet, you don't have to worry about all that being gone. And that goes back to the habits. Whenever you start with Bitcoin, write down your password. Again, a lot of people aren't going to agree with me, but you're going to need, if you have like the email set up, you have the two-factor authentication, you make a really strong password, you can back it up. You can send your wallet information to, like, say you lose your wallet, you can have that stored and encrypted where as long as people don't have your password, you can bring that back up. You can download that back onto a server and have your money back. As even if you lost this thing, you just always or you just need to keep your password. Um, and you can also send bits and pieces of the password to friends and family and compartmentalize that information so no one has the full password. And that's another good way to back up the password. But that's getting a little more in depth. I just wanted to make this video about how to buy your first Bitcoin, what to look out for, and write down your password, make it strong, have email verification set up, two-factor authentication, and then I'll make some more videos on how to trade these markets. Like for instance, I'm invested a little bit in Steam. I think I have about 800 and something in there, but I bought it almost perfectly down here at I think I bought it for 0038, and it just spiked. But that'll be in another video, how to break down these different charts and how to make some money off of the altcoins, because that's where I think you're going to flip your fastest profit. But with Bitcoin, buy a little in pieces. You want to have a good cost average buy-in. So, you're never going to perfectly buy it right here and then sell right here. So that's why you want to buy a little here, buy a little here, maybe here, and then hold. And so you have a cost average buy-in of where this line is, and then boom, try to put your price points at okay, I want to make 30%, 40%, and stick to your guns and sell then. But don't sell all of it. Sell like 50%, and then let the other 50 ride and fill that out. And always try to lock in profits when you can. I hope that was good enough to get the right information out there. If you have any questions, hit me up. You got my number. And yeah, there's the video, man. Take care.